The Deconstruction of Socialism and Reconstruction of Humanity. In every ideologue, there's a dictator itching to get out. They hate society, made of tacit and active agreement between people with all its contradictions. And emotional incontinence inevitably leads to senseless conflict between state and people, in a crusade to destroy society to make way for socialist utopia, ostensibly for the same people. An innate authoritarianism, such as Rousseau's force to be free, is the beating heart of socialism, potentially justifying any amount of artificial stupidity and inhumanity to imprison people in a utopian hell. Many label themselves slaves to this political ideology or that, when they're just confused and far from authoritarian or dictatorial at heart. This post is not intended to enlighten ideologues, because they're obsessed with logic. Devoid of reason, they can only recover freedom of thought through internal revelation. It's impossible to argue them round, however hard you try. See the third paradox of reason. Labelling humans other than human is an offensive allegation, whoever does it. This is usually unwitting servile behaviour aside. The main aim is to provide a clear view for confused opponents of ideology, to generate collective, focused opposition to the artificial stupidity and conformity of ideologues. A relatively small number can create a highly focused, coordinated political force, quite capable of routing an opposition many times its number, lacking such inhuman conformity. Parallels can be found in military history, such as Caesar's astonishing and bloody victory against Vercingetorix in the Battle of Alesia, so appalling that Gauls facing mass starvation drove the infirm, old, women and children between the lines in the hope the Romans might harvest them for slavery or profit in some other way. But with matching barbarism, they starved to death in the open. A similar utilitarianism, but rooted in ideological delusion, moved the hands of Stalin and Mao in their state wars against millions of people in the USSR and China, Pol Pot, AH and others aside. While Vercingetorix was cornered with no choice, Mao and Stalin conned themselves that they had no choice, thanks to ideological inculcation. Marx and other socialist theorists were given agency, as it were, from their grave by 20th century dictators who surrendered their freedom of thought to ideology in a spectacular display of artificial psychopathy. Prescriptions made by ideologues usurp decision-making that is the right of legislative assemblies. Ideologues don't need them, except to obscure the fatal flaws as such in those grim sisters, socialism and fascism. Ideologues believe their utopia is the natural, most perfect state of humanity, stymied by bad actors such as the evils of society. In the intersubjective abstractions can have agency. To make things seem more real, they strip people of the agency that makes them human, and accords what they confiscate to abstractions in the intersubjective, such as the state, bourgeoisie, workers and capitalists, while dividing humanity into any number of identities. This deceit is designed to create a virtual conflict and war in the intersubjective to justify socialist authoritarianism via crude utilitarianism powered by political manipulation based on divide and rule. It is hard to think of anything more despicable. Oblivious to irony, ideologues of all persuasions, socialists are far from unique in this respect, aim to destroy society by oppression and, if needed, using any appoint of brutality against those evil ones, preventing realization of socialist, fascist, religious or whatever ideological utopia. Putative dictators belief in humanity is necessary to destroy anything blocking the shining path to the natural utopian state of human existence. If society must be eliminated, it follows those who created it must be, at the very least, silenced and, if necessary, oppressed, killed to be kind, as it were. The history of socialism's rolling internal conflict, caused by ideologues claiming an abstraction in the form of the state is a living creature with agency, is telling. Ideologues believe they have a right to treat people like doctors in possession of a wonder drug would, a dangerous virus. Censorship is designed to strip political agency from people, while propaganda attempts to fill the void to force inhuman conformity. This explains why socialists believe law can make people good. Once everyone is the same, the only law needed would be that it is illegal to be bad, leaving what is to be bad in the hands of a judiciary. Meanwhile, legislature gone, the state and executive would be one. Echoing Louis XIV, ideology says, "L'État c'est moi." Louis XVI paid the price of such arrogance. What the hell is this? The socialist program is to deconstruct individual human character, to reconstruct with propaganda, engineering a clone-like conformity, an artificial human nature to qualify people fit for ideological utopia they have already defined. Instead of taking humanity with all its uncertainties, fears, contradictions, loyalty, disloyalty, love, confusion, ambition, etc., and seeking the best system for us all, socialists and ideologues think it better to subject humans to inhumanity, to make us less than human, to suit their dangerous inhuman delusion of heaven on earth. Heaven for dehumanized clones, but hell for human beings. This monstrous absurdity arises from ignorance about the nature of society and the wider nature of the intersubjective. Socialist propaganda majors on the intersubjective, deliberately giving the impression that its abstraction can leap out of that domain into physical reality. Artificial war between ideological abstractions is allowed to accord agency to the state, as it were, some gigantic perfect creature with the moral status of a multiple, or all those humans stripped of agency, to justify an unquestionable moral supremacy. Should anyone question it, it follows they openly doubt, or worse, deny the moral status of every other person in the nation-state, bar a tiny number of the ideologically correct. Those dear leaders really take the decisions attributed to an abstraction, broken out of the domain where it really exists, illicitly supposed to be part of physical reality. Ideologues who engineer this deceit in charge of a state can then, bursting with self-entitled moral virtue and justice, silence or even eliminate, i.e. kill, anyone who dares question the wisdom of the state. Agreement with its dictates becomes a necessity, in extreme on pain of death. Forced to be free, as Rousseau might say. How jolly! But ideologues are notorious for lacking a sense of humour. Starmer is a socialist. Nearly all Labour MPs are socialists. Most Greens are socialist. Most Liberal Democrats lean to socialism, and quite a few Conservatives. Without focused opposition to anti-democratic forces, we could be in for a fight. Thanks for listening. I deliberately used the deconstruct word in the title of this small piece because it has a sort of feeling of Derrida about it. And turning Derrida on himself seems quite a satisfactory and rather pleasing approach. Anyway, there you go. I'll be bringing out another one in a few days' time. I think this one's particularly important because people have long not really come to grips with what socialism really entails and its relation to humanity. I hope this is a start. Anyway, bye for now.